So where did the idea for Nucleus originally come from? How did you get interested in genetic testing?
Unfortunately, the story of Nucleus begins with a personal tragedy. My cousin, actually, she went to sleep one night and she didn't wake up the next day. She died. She died in her sleep. And, at the time I was almost 7. I asked my parents, how does this happen? I just don't understand it. She's only 7. You don't really understand these sort of things.
Yeah.
And, my parents said to me, it was bad genetics. What does that mean? I had no idea. And so I eventually started studying genetics. And when I realized that, disease can be viewed more as a problem to be solved, right? It didn't necessarily need to be a fact of life. Someone shouldn't have to die at 15. I mean, that's just horrible. And so I actually started doing some genetic engineering work in a second floor of a Brooklyn laboratory. Actually, it was like a kind of do-it-yourself gene laboratory. And I sort of loved this beauty and depth of biology. And so I actually went to Penn to study computational biology. And one day I was in literally genetics class, which is funny enough. And the chairman of the biology department at the time, he pulled up this chart. Okay, we look at this chart. It basically shows the cost of reading all of someone's DNA. And what you find is the cost of reading all of someone's DNA has come down from around $100 million to the time in 2020 to about $1,000. And I thought, $100 million per sample to $1,000 per sample? That's crazy. And so I actually leave school. I actually moved back into my bedroom in Brooklyn. And I literally filled in, around 18 subject notebooks on basically computational genomics. And I basically realized that you can to create this world's most advanced DNA health test. So there's about 70,000 genetic tests on the market, right? If you think of your DNA as like 1,000-page book, okay? Genetic tests, because it was so expensive to read all 1,000 pages, a genetic test would look at a word, maybe a sentence, maybe a page. And that's why there were so many different tests. There was a test for breast cancer, a test for Alzheimer's, a cystic fibrosis test, another test for Tay-Sachs, and then yet another test for how your DNA affects the metabolism of drugs. In other words, there's tens of thousands of different tests looking at all these different parts of your DNA book, so to speak. But now that the price has come down from $100 million to Nucleus provides it for just a couple $100, you can actually combine all 70,000 of these tests into one test and one swab.